Good evening, all. Hopefully, you can hear and see me okay. All my levels are saying I'm fine. So I don't know. Are we good? Are we good? Let me know. Good evening to Socially, to Ray, to Matthew, Sloth, Major Star Stuff. Good evening, Jock Cop, Chidomo, and Jag. Good to see you all. Hopefully, it's all okay. And the good news is that this evening I remembered to put it on low latency mode. So hopefully there's not quite so much of a delay between you saying something and me being able to react to it. So there's that. Dodger, good evening. Notorious, hello, buddy. Good to see you. So yes, there we are. So yeah, it's been quite a weekend for me. I had yesterday to do what I wanted, but unfortunately today I've been back at work. So working Monday to Friday, working Sunday, and then working very very long hours for the next 2 weeks. So yeah, it's being a bit of a rough one. Hopefully I'm able to string a complete sentence together for you guys, and you can understand what it is that I'm trying to get across. But if not, well, I don't think this is going to make much of a difference. So we're going to be on the stove for press this evening. A nice can of cider to top off the weekend, round out just a rubbish day at work with otherwise beautiful weather. I would have loved to have been out. I'd love to have prepped a barbecue for this evening. I just did not have time. But hopefully you guys have had a much better weekend than I have. So cheers. You know, it's been one of those weekends because I've come double parked. So, yes, there we go. But yeah, so again, continuing my run of thumbnails not being clickbait. There's a couple of things I wanted to talk to. There's a couple of interesting points that have come out of the Q&A that Star Citizen did, or the CIG did last week, about the story, where it is, what the plan is, where we're going, where they're going, more to the point, and all those good things. And it kind of got me thinking. The current hype cycle in Star Citizen is, or has been up until now, based very, very heavily around hype. So it's been the sales, it's been the FOMO, it's been the whole limited sales, it's been all that sort of stuff, right? The new ships, the concepts, the straight to flyyables. But now, with the idea of the patches being, the interesting thing is up until now, those sales have coincided had necessarily with the major patches or a point patch shortly after a major patch. So that's been quite interesting. Good evening, Napo. Good evening to Teapot as well. Um, yeah, so you have these kind of sales linked to the patches, but now we have a very interesting way of running our sales. We have, running our patches. We have a major patch or a patch at the end of every month. And with every patch comes a little stage in the story. We've left the Pyro story for just a moment. We're now looking at the whole imprints and respawn story that's going on. And that's why we're going to the mining sites, the orbital laser sites. If we're not, they say, going to gather all those materials for Wicklow, should be going to Ryari and kind of assisting them with figuring out why respawns are failing across the UEE. And it kind of got me thinking, which is at the moment the kind of big news cycles for Star Citizen, the big kind of draws in terms of time have been things like Fleet Week, Alien Week, i.e. anything around the ship sales and the kind of new ships and all that sort of stuff. Do we think that Star Citizen will be able to change that kind of hype around being based around new ships and things we can buy to the story, to discussing what's going on, to discussing how they're advancing things in the vast? So that's kind of the topic that I want to hit on. Dodger says the story I want to play out is hanging out in a canteen on the desert moon, waiting for a VIP to enter for me to transport. Nice. So completely away from combat then, Dodger, I guess. Which is no bad thing at all. Citizen Ninja, good evening, good to see you. So yeah, that's the question. at the moment, hype in the game all around the sales and new ships and stuff that we can buy with real world money. And can CIG kind of pull it off where they get, people talking more about the story and the patches and the content than they do about what we can buy next with our money? And as I was kind of thinking about this today whilst I was working, it kind of struck that at the moment there's got to be a tipping point, right? Is that the moment we're all focused on buying things that we can do in our, buying ships that we can do stuff in, and getting focused on the vehicles rather than the stuff that you can do in them. And that doesn't strike me as particularly sustainable, although having said that, CIG being funded for 10 years or so, 12 years now, I guess, is kind of proving me to be a bit of a liar on that front, maybe. So, Jock says, if you want to see if FOMO works, go look at our fleet viewer. Yeah, and you're not wrong. Our fleet viewer has some pretty scary ships in it. So yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've opened that up since I signed up for it a little while ago and added my ships to the mix. But yeah, there's some scary ships in there. Yeah. So I mean, open it up to you guys. What do you think? Are they ever going to get the story to the point where that becomes the primary reason for you to open a YouTube channel? For you to get excited about it, for you to go and talk on Spectrum or message or whatever it is you talk about on this game, if it's not just here. Are they ever going to achieve that? Or is it always going to be about the new shiny stuff that we can buy and you'll just play it in game? Toecutter says, happy Sunday, Rogers. Happy Sunday to you, sir. You look good, mate. Thank you, month until Fleet Week. Thanks, bud. For so many things. But yes. Yeah. So yeah, Fleet Week towards the end of May, I think they said. So that will delay one patch. I think they said that it will come slightly after Fleet Week, the next patch after the one that's currently being tested at the moment. Story is a dead end, says Dark Matter. They need to have player progress planetary development and have a comprehensive crafting system to tear from all the planets or structures to support an NPC organic system. That's a lot of words. I'm not having a go at you, buddy. I'm going to try and read that again, but slower, so it makes sense in my head. They need to have player progressed planetary development and have a comprehensive crafting system to terraform all the planets. I'm with you. With structures to support an NPC organic system. Yeah, I don't know if that's coming. In terms of terraforming and stuff, I don't know whether that's changed. There was an interesting conversation with the info runners where they kind of talked about the idea that you could terraform, or you could, in its simplest form, you could see major landing zones being built. So every patch would be a new stage of the development until it got to the stage where, you could actually go inside the major landing zone. So if you remember back in the day, when with New Babbage, when they released PlanetSec, whatever it was, 3.0, 4.0, New Babbage was there for a patch or two, but you couldn't go inside. It was just the buildings from the outside. One of the thoughts around that was, well, maybe they could have done that being constructed. Although, obviously, the story is that Microtech's been there for some time. But maybe that could happen with new places. Calm, hello, buddy. Good to see you. Yeah. A few new people sneaking in, so hi all. Matthew says, for me, I think they're running before they can walk. I'd much rather full quest loops and factions being made before live wild events being rolled out. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. So the Q&A was quite enlightening in that, they were talking about, this year being the focus on stability and bug fixing. And then doing that through, being able to expand a little bit of the story rather than just constant new features, and this is their words, not mine, was enabling the narrative pit team to join the alpha. And they were talking about how many kind of lessons they've learned and that it's been really useful for them. And that's quite an interesting and quite an important way of going, I think. Things like the Hathor mining, the ground alignment stations, the orbital lasers, that is not an event. these are evergreen, i.e., usable all the time sites. So they will be like the remote asteroid bases. They will always, and the contested zones, they'll always be there and usable, and added to hopefully an ever expanding kind of catalogue of content, so that you don't get sucked into just having to do them, whenever a global event pops up. Crafting and looting are also a big draw for people to play the game, says Dodger. Calm says, Calm says, isn't the idea for CIG to stop selling ships on 1.0 though, so they'd have to rely on other fund means? It's unclear. I don't think they've ever committed to not selling ships. What they have said is what they've said all along, which is, there will be very few ships you won't be able to earn in game in some way or another. There are exceptions to that. You've got like the Sabre, whatever it was called, was it the Raven that came with the Octane drive? They've obviously retired the F7 Mark 1s. So it's not going to be true of everything, but by and large, certainly the F8C, which is the F8 Lightning, you will be able to earn achieving certain things in Squadron 42. You'll then be able to buy it in game in Star Citizen for UEC without having to purchase it up front. So there's that. Yo, hello, well to see. Notorious says, for myself, the lore team haven't produced anything that stimulates my interest or enthusiasm. They're trying to make a Star Wars when I'm more of a Dune reader. Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be kind of driving much. One of I think their kind of key questions was, why are we not seeing like the whole imprints not working and respawns failing for a lot of the NPCs? Why is that not reflected more in game? Because we have the loading screen now. You've got your latest news headlines on it, but that's about it. And there's not really much else. There aren't panic lines and crowds at all of the hospitals. There aren't the security dealing with. There aren't news bulletins and everything else going out. It's just a bit like, but there's that. I think engineering and crafting will help in the engagement for sandbox stuff. There's definitely been a turnaround in putting story in the game, and that will only ramp up. Excuse me, it has been a long ass day. Maybe I need a little bit more rocket fuel to keep me going, Yeah, I think with going back to the idea of selling ships and stuff, because as Star Stuff quite rightly says, if CIG ever stops selling ships, I shall eat my teacup. Is that the sale of ships makes sense to us business-wise, because it prevents them from having to use a subscription model. Right, the one thing that is very obvious with dynamic server meshing and even static server meshing is, for one 600 player shard they need whatever it is 9 servers, right? There is going to be significant overhead cost in using Amazon Web Services or any server farm technology to run, huge amounts of servers for a game like this. So there needs to be some income generation. Can they do that through skins and cosmetics? Can they do that through any sort of mechanism that allows people to shortcut the amount of time it gets to something? One of the interesting things I heard people say was that, maybe subscriptions. Maybe if you take out a subscription, for every month you have the subscription, you get a lifetime insurance policy, and you can apply that to a ship. Maybe that's one of the ways that they do this, because some people are mad on LTI, some people aren't. But what's clear from everything they've said at the last CitizenCon is you will need some form of insurance, or otherwise all you're going to get back is the credits, and possibly not enough to buy a brand new ship, versus everything else, right? So we'll see. So Citizen Ninja says, which ship would you guess might get the blue and gold ILW paint? Very, very good question. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer that some, if not all, of the new ships will get it. Um, the Polaris has something very similar, I think, at the moment. If I'm not respect, it's definitely got something with gold on it. Whether it's the blue and gold, I can't remember. But yeah, I don't know is the honest answer. Um, I mean, yeah, whatever new ships we'll get, and possibly the vehicles, some of the vehicles as well might get stuff. There's obviously they're gonna have got the Grey Cat tactical command thing. Um, we'll see. There was a very interesting kind of sneak peek image on released by CIG, and I don't have the image to hand because I've been in a bit of a rush this evening. But yeah, it basically looks like something on rails. It could very well be either the back of a ship or the rails coming up the side of the top of the vehicle, just like the ASA does. But of course, they're from different manufacturers, so that might not be the case. What do you think about the new Mobiglass? When does it come out? And I saw the Pegasus, the best of biggest ship carriers, is on Squadron 42. Yeah, so I mean, Squadron 42 is going to have a lot of stuff in it, even if it is like we saw um, in the trailer or the gameplay demo. It's not the trailer; it was a bloody hour long. The gameplay demo. Some of those ships, like the Argus, the big battleship thing, may not be something that we ever really interact with. You just kind of see it in that sequence and that. Pegasus was conspicuous by its absence from that sequence. Doesn't mean it's not in. I do think there are things missing from that sequence. Even if it's just ships looking a lot more, the fighters looking a lot more realistic when they turn and stuff because they look very static. A lot more fire when the fleet opens fire. There doesn't look to be like a huge amount of firepower coming out, and I think stuff like that will likely change. But yeah, it would be interesting. So she says, I've skipped this Evergreen Fire, the laser event. I hope the next part of the story has a real PvE option. I'm excited for physicalized money. I want to buy stuff off the bounty without killing people. Yeah, so that was an interesting kind of. I think Jared kind of half let it slip without meaning to because they picked him up on it. But there will be some physicalized currency. Gilder, I think they called it. That will be another form of currency in the verse. So it won't just be credits done electronically. There'll be physical things to hand over, which I kind of like. It's the more physical stuff I think they can include in the game, possibly the better. Build the world, not event, says Matthew. Yeah, I mean they can do so. They're going to build out within the scope of the systems they already have. You know, the interesting thing here is that the events aren't really events as we know them. They're not Xeno Threat. They're not Siege of Origin. They're not Blockade Run, and they're not those sorts of things. These are just missions that have time limited rewards that run perfectly well within the systems that we have. So they're not events in that kind of manner. M says, interesting. So I seem to have misremembered the post launch pitch. Been quite a few years. I don't know where. I don't know. Then I was kind of hoping they'd stop selling ships since I feel it's going to be saturated, especially caps. Yeah, so I think we'll probably see a little bit of what we're seeing now, right? But for all the ships that we don't yet have, so we're seeing a little bit of proliferation in terms of competitors, right? You've got the Vulture now competing with the. Sorry, I just punched the mic. I do apologise if that's put anyone off. But you know, you've got the Fortune competing with the Vulture. There's another baby salvager coming. You've got the Golem in that space. You've got the Prospector in that space. There's going to be competitor ships, and I think that's going to kind of be where they maybe bring that in. Maybe you get the ships available to people who purchase them 6 months before they're released into the game proper, for example, right? The other thing is if they do what they're doing now, where we all know that crafted parts from the ships are going to improve the ships that we've bought, I don't really have a problem with it. It's I talk about this a couple of times on channel per every year. One of the things that World of Warcraft did that was quite clever was they did game time tokens. And what that does is that, generally speaking, they say there's a crossover out in games. Is as the time available to game goes up, the available income goes down, generally speaking, for people, because if you can play all day every day, you're not out earning money. Same if you're earning all the hours God sends, and you're working 3 jobs and all that, you've got no time, but hopefully more money to do stuff. So the question is, for those people, if there's no advantage through buying it other than time, why shouldn't they be able to buy themselves a Hurricane, for example? Right? If you know that putting the time in, you can craft better components, so it comes with tier 3 or tier 5 components once you've crafted it. What we're buying is tier 2, for example. Then they're not getting any advantage other than, I don't want to, my time's too valuable to grind that amount of time, but I'm happy to put the money in to buy it. So potentially that's where they'll go with it. So yeah. Dark Matter says, I don't want a copy of Star Wars or Dune. I want a pioneer expansion narrative, the kind of narrative that leads up to war. Narratives once planets have value, which they don't until they produce things. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because it's going to be kind of even, kind of not, right? The economy is angling itself towards Eve. The story kind of isn't. But I think what they want to do is have the story kind of guided by them, but reactive to what's going on in the verse. What that looks like in real time, I have no idea. That's going to be very, very complicated. But I had a conversation with someone today about the idea of, wouldn't it be interesting if every patch cycle at the moment, what if you had newsreels popping up, right? What if you had some sort of news channel where it was talking about what was going on in game, and there were news flashing bulletins, and there were crowds outside of the hospital for this respawn issue. Stuff like that would make the verse feel a lot more, engaging. Whereas at the moment, it just seems to be, once again, there's one new hotness. So it's jump towns going on at once, and that's it. It was the contested zones in the remote asteroid bases. It was Siege of Origin. It was Xenothreat. And now it's the, we're not running any other dynamic events whilst we do this thing. I'd be really interested to see what Siege of Origin looks like on this new static server meshing, where we're getting much higher server FPS. AI looks a lot more responsive in an FPS situation. I'd be really interested to see what Siege of Origin looks like now. I'm hoping, once they finish porting it over to the new architecture, that they run a test of it, because I think Siege of Origin is going to be a very different, much more enjoyable experience than the first one, and I quite enjoyed the first one. But yeah, here's hoping. 900 million off ship sales aren't going to end, 800 million off ship sales aren't going to end. No, it's how they manage it, I think, once they do. Whether they change it at all. Do they need to change it? But it's likely. The Empire won't claim a rock if it doesn't have valuable resources like food and fuel. Yep, very possibly. It'd be interesting to see what the lore is behind them deciding to, sell the Stanton system, in effect, to Microtech Hurston and ArcCorp and that. It would be really interesting to see where that's come from and why that's happened. I guess we'll find out, right? But maybe the cost of, colonizing planets and all that, maybe it's become too prohibitive from the UEE. Maybe they were just at a point where they were maybe dealing with a couple of massive Vandal incursions that didn't have the money, needed to raise instant cash, so sold a solar system, a planetary system. Who knows? TJX says, we don't have respawn issues yet because you don't just skip chapters in the story. They're trying to tell a story after the ending, the pack will come. It's really that simple. Yeah, no, I think that the point that I'm making is that if I didn't tell you that was happening and you didn't read the loading screen, there would be no indication whatsoever in the game that that's happening. It wasn't going to happen to us because, like they said, the game's not far enough on in development for that to happen. But there is no indication past what's on the website and what's on the loading screen that that's even occurring in the game, as far as I can see. I might be wrong, but as far as I can see, that's pretty much it. There will be ships, skins, paints, cosmetics, and subscriptions sold for this game after launch. CIG doesn't know it now, so it will continue to do all these and more. Yeah, and if that keeps them away from a subscription model, 100%. So yeah. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Someone taught me that reference this week. Glad I could help, Star Stuff. Glad I could help. I think Squadron 42 is more cinematic movie to explain your way into the PU than the game itself. The biggest contest is on the potential of the PU. Yeah, I mean, so Squadron 42 is never going to compete with games like Baldur's Gate, right? Because it's not that open-ended. You are not going to have the massive variation in how you experience stuff and the choices that you have. That said, we have to remember CR is of Wing Commander fame, right? Wing Commander, for gaming, basically pioneered the idea of relationships with your crew and all that sort of stuff. All the stuff that we saw later on in Dragon Age Origins and all that, how NPCs react to the choices that you make, was basically pioneered out of Wing Commander. So I wouldn't mind betting there's going to be something interesting and surprising in there somewhere to keep us on our toes, right? That's the kind of element that he's coming from. That said, it's not going to be BG3. It's not going to have unlimited replayability, which means that once Squadron is done and over, and the sales have really dropped off, thoughts at some point will switch to Episode 2. Which I believe is called Behind Enemy Lines. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the story is there. Hornet Mark II should get it, the ILW skin, that is. So Socially says the intro sequence was missing like 100+ UE fighters to combat the other fighters. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff missing from that, which I think was probably a performance thing. Because I don't know if you guys felt it. I also felt like the facial tech had almost taken a step backwards from the Squadron 42 2.5-minute trailer. And I think that's just because they're in the middle of doing something and figuring something out. So yeah, I'm going to try this with my glasses off because I need to practice doing stuff. Like I've become so reliant on them. So Yo-Yo says, the thing is the physical currency to trade between players to buy stuff and get it exchanged. Yeah, it may well be something that's only with NPCs. I do feel like the game needs to... Ah, there's a moth. I do feel like the game needs to be able to facilitate some form of secure and trustworthy player-to-player trading, right? I don't want to use the auction house as an example because it doesn't make sense for the verse, but I do think there needs to be some sort of... almost like an Amazon collection thing, right? As you select where you're going to pick it up from. But it needs some form of... especially if you start to trade in information. Let's say you scan the location of a node, there needs to be some way of the game going, hi, this is a so many, however it is, 1,000 SCU, million SCU node of this material. And they verify that. It doesn't stop you trading in other ways. You can still do the bait and switch and all that sort of good stuff. But there needs to be a trustworthy system of trading as well that doesn't just involve whoever turns up with the biggest guns and the most guns walking away at the end of the fight. So yeah. Dark Matter says, physicalized currency where you can farm and sell or collect some world vendors only to buy in that currency. That would be interesting. So having a currency... sorry, I'm going to put this back on because I can't read for... So having a currency run to move currency like old school Crusade. Potentially, it almost looks like it might be its own sort of currency. So maybe it's like like trading favors for Wicklow, that sort of stuff. We don't know yet. Maybe it's a reputation thing. Maybe it only works for specific factions. We don't know. I'd imagine that's going to keep going, right? Whereas there's going to be like maybe an archaeological faction, where finding some sort of like the Hadesian artifacts is going to be important, that sort of stuff. So we'll see. I know I'm going to regret saying this, but just on a side note, happy with how long the camera's managing to do what it's doing. Seem to have fixed it. Whatever I've mucked around with this last week, Fixed it. So yeah, some reason why not ramming other players and use your dollars. Yeah, exactly that. Currency chests would make piracy narratives. Yeah, absolutely that. The fortune falls or fails horribly at this competition. So yeah, so that was talking about the idea of competitorships and having that sort of stuff. Um, I mean, I don't know. I know some people really like the auto loading thing rather than having to go into, especially when you're in the vulture, because when you're in the back, moving stuff around, you have no access to your radar. You don't know what's coming until you're under attack. And of course, what you don't want to do is go loaded up, go to a station just to put everything from the hopper onto the grid to fly out again. So there are swings and roundabouts to both, I think. We need a Banu banking ship we can run. Dodger says, I own the Stance Attack, Guardian, and a starter ship. I'm not really motivated to spend any more. I'll be happy to earn the rest playing the game. How will they make money? Might be story packs. I think the thing we got to remember is that there's always new get players, becoming aware of the game, and there are always new gamers being made, right? That are turning old enough that now have a PC that. So I think for certain MMOs and stuff, that's always going to be the case. So we should be all right. I want to hold up a bank. Go play DGA 6. No. Yeah. So I want more Xenothreat events, says Matthew. Yeah, it's interesting because they basically turned around and said that Xenothreat will be coming back as well, which is kind of cool. So that's an interesting element to it. Sloth says, I cannot wait for Siege of Origin with how the servers are these days. Been itching to get back there with how fun it has been when it works. Yeah, I think Siege of Origin, I did an after action report on it, I think. In fact, I did. I remember I had to say the camera thing, didn't I? But yeah, I did an after action report on it, and I think one of the things that I was kind of hoping for was there was going to be more going on. So like, and there were a few things. There was like a banking hack going on that you could find, but I was hoping there was going to be like a little hostage rescue stuff and all that sort of thing that's going on. So you know, that sort of thing. Um, you know, things to go off and veer off and to bring people's attention away from always being at the front, run. Because the one thing that annoyed me about Siege of Origin was not what the devs did, but it was people knowing how the game works, knowing that you've got to shut down the AA or you get absolutely hammered, just flying to the end anyway to try and be the people that completed it, and yet not being able to fly and getting shot down and all that sort of stuff. And then, you know, we were losing this finite amount of ships that we were supposed to be taking and dealing with. So that was a little bit frustrating. But yeah, in terms of the rest of it, the idea that the AI can be a lot more aggressive now, they can come at you, you know, and work together. Because, you know, taking on a lot of AI now is actually quite scary. They do push. They do kind of move in different ways. They seem to work together in some rudimentary fashion. You know, you can't just run around now blind and hope everything's fine. But yeah, I want the Stanton mission back first. So much content as mission in Stanton. Yeah, so there's lots of stuff that's going to come back, and you know, hopefully like the small package delivery missions and stuff, they'll just keep doing those and bring everything that was missing since 4.0, and hopefully that'll be part of this year of fixing those and bringing them back to the verse. Hey, Shevers, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you go. Badges, if you need glasses, you're meant to wear them all the time to reduce eye strain. Negative, no. Minor for astigmatism, which is just detail work. You don't need to wear these all the time. Looking forward to seeing how this year's Best in Show bracket turns out. Yeah. Well, put it this way: if the Perseus happens before Best in Show, I know who's winning Best in Show, because I'll make it happen. Dark Matter says, made the currency also a craftable resource that can be melted down into that resource. It has crafting value like Beskar. Oh, so you do want Star Wars? I thought you said you didn't want Star Wars, Dark. Is that you did say that, right? Or was that someone else? I might be confusing you. But yeah. Starts timer 2 minutes, very possibly. Ironclad will win the best in show, you reckon? Yeah. So yeah. Perseus is trash in comparison to the Ironclad. Incorrect. Fight me. No, it was me that didn't want Star Wars and Taurus. Yeah, absolutely. I think someone else made the comment about having some run up to conflict and all that sort of stuff. Um, but yeah, we'll see. Oh yeah. I don't want a copy of Star Wars or Dune. I want a Pioneer expansion narrative. So in other words, people that the UEE expanding and all that sort of stuff. I love the idea of the Ironclad, but can't argue with Impersia's guns. Absolutely. Um, yeah. So, Jay Gray, is good to see you, my friend. Welcome in. Polaris gets best in show this year, but next year, big gun ship for the win. You reckon it might be the Polaris, huh? Yeah, do you know what? Upsettingly, I think you might be right. But yeah. Sorry, I need a Hammerhead best in show this year, says Star Stuff. Yeah, I mean, fight me. Um, happy to have this conversation over a couple of size 7. But yeah. Aegis Asgard, says Matthew. Well, it'll be interesting to see what that is. You ask about, kind of ships getting the ILW skin. The Asgard's definitely getting that. So yeah, we'll see. We shall see. Yeah, lots of things going on. What's really interesting for those that didn't see the Q&A was they said that the Behind the Ship episode next week, or this week coming, as in starting in a few hours, will be one of the new ships coming at ILW. So if you want to know what's coming, the first of those ships will be revealed next week. So, or the first of the vehicles, because of course it might not be a ship. But yeah. What is the Asgard? A code name to surprise us with a Liberator? No. Absolutely not. So yeah. How much do they get the nerf back, says Mad Teapot, for the well, I suppose the Perseus has had a bit of a nerf, right? I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's had some ability nerf. It's also had some shield nerf. There's been some component nerf. So yeah, we'll see. If your dream is the Liberator socially, you and I need to chat, my friend. No, I'm kidding. Fucking Liberator. You mean the Polaris? Sorry, yes, the Polaris. That's what I meant. The Polaris has had mobility, shield, and component nerfs, it seems. So it moves much slower, which makes sense. It was very, very maneuverable for what it was. The shields, maybe not so much. I don't know. Maybe, people are just whinging that they can't kill it. But we'll see. Perseus is going to be great, says Eb. Nerfs or otherwise. Can't wait for my baby to arrive. Yeah, I mean, if the information was to believe, the Perseus was actually going up in twin link turret gun size, so they were supposed to go from size 3s to size 4s. Apparently, rumour, not confirmed, but this was apparently a leak from within CIG, and a few other bits that were changing as well. I think they were thinking maybe 4 PDCs, but we'll have to see. That's a lot of PDCs for a ship that size. As long as players can't kamikaze the Polaris again in fighters, I'll be happy. Yeah, so that change has come in. I understand it. So now everything, the collisions physics is mass driven. So if you are in a fighter, you cannot yeet through the cockpit of the Polaris and kill it. Whether that's actually translated in game, but I guess the point that I'm making is that's their intention for it. If they've said it's fixed, if it's not, I guess they just continue driving down that road. But we'll see. Now people ram the Polaris into everything so socially. Yeah, what a shock. It'll be kind of interesting, maybe when resource networks come in and component and that sort of stuff becomes a little bit more integral to gameplay rather than just being stat generators. Maybe those sorts of things. Maybe collisions do disproportionate damage to your components, right? We don't know. Maybe that sort of stuff happens to offset the scale of the big ships. Which makes Polaris owners think twice before just running down small ships. I mean, maybe they decide that Polaris should absolutely, if in a Gladius or whatever, you're silly enough to get hit by a Polaris, maybe that's on you. I don't know. Sloss says, as long as, I did say that. At current, you can kill a Reclaimer by ramming a Polaris into the cockpit with minimal damage to the Polaris. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. That absolutely needs to be a mass thing. Mass, as in critical mass, not maths. But I guess it's also maths. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. So yeah, we'll see. Just like they used to with the 890 jump. Yeah. The Reclaimer needs its 4 PDCs. I used the 890 jump to clear the Jupiter's ships at Area 18 when that was a thing. just put a plow on the front of the 890 and just go around and destroy everything. Nice. So yeah. We'll see. We'll see with the PDCs on the Perseus. Again, it's a rumor, so I'm not gonna pin too much to it. But also, it is just one of those. I get people saying about historic. Yes, to an extent, but then again, we've seen the Zeus Mark II as a rebuild of the Zeus, so it also doesn't make sense if you take it from a historic perspective. It also doesn't make sense to have shields on it. So we'll see. We shall see. Whatever it is, when that thing comes out, oh my god, it's all I'm going to fly, that Perseus. I cannot wait to fly that thing around in the verse. It's going to be so much fun. And of course, you guys are welcome to join and get involved in all that sort of good stuff. If you don't have your own Perseus, you're more than welcome to be crew on someone else's, and we'll go and crash the verse somewhere just by rocking up with, a ridiculous number of Persei. Is that the plural? Persei? I don't know anymore. Anyway, while I let you ponder that, I'm going to finish my can. Excuse me. Nice. I've just got that silly scrolling background now since I've reinstalled Windows on everything. I've just got image, but at the moment I have the white cliffs of Dover staring at me with belt out Lifehouse and all that sort of stuff. So hence the blue tint on my my glasses. Because huzzah. Don't jump in mine, says Matthew. I play bumper cars with asteroids. Absolutely not. Fair enough. But yeah, so that's where we are, and that was my kind of thinking on where we go with the game and what's next for it. What was really interesting from that Q&A, I don't know if you guys have watched it, but hopefully this is exciting to you as it is to me, is they have recognised the limitations with having data pads as a means of, kind of giving people the story, filling in the gaps in the narrative, which is really important because Fight for Pyro was a massive criticism. The whole idea that the frontier fighters were in fact the slicers were in fact the bad guys and the go kill everybody's. They said they'd left us clues, but there were these data pads and the data pads weren't working. And they've said, it's such an old device that they want to move away from it, and they've committed, or at least Jared has committed them, to audio logs being something that they bring in for quests by the end of the year, for missions. They'll obviously keep with, like they have with Wicklow at the moment, where he engages with you over the comlink, just like Rowena Dooley does and everyone else, the Siege of Horizon lady. So that they're going to do that sort of stuff. Wicklow will, eventually, once they've got the model working as they want to, they will have him walking around his emporium and interacting with people, which is kind of cool. So yeah, they seem to be now focusing on a lot of the elements of the narrative, which were things that kind of worried me. How do you make Star Citizen more engaging, feeling more like a universe? And I think one of the ways they do this are these huge mission chains where you can just pick up and leave off as you like, right? So you're doing a mission chain and it's FPS combat, and then all of a sudden it switches to, oh my god, we found a mining seam and all this, that, and the other, and you're like, well, hey, I don't want a mining mission, but I know a buddy who does. So you message your mining buddy and you're like, hey, why don't you go to this location? And you share the mission to him, and then you abandon it yourself, and off you go. And then they do that sort of stuff, and then they do that again, and then you ask them the next time you see them, hey, how did that mining mission go? Oh, I don't know. It got into salvage. You know me, I don't like salvage. So I handed it off to my salvage buddy. And these huge chains where it doesn't matter who completes them, and there's no big reward at the end. It's just like a constant thing, like any other thing, like a thread that you pick up in the narrative, and you pick up for as long as you want to use it, and then you drop it again. And it can go through all sorts of weird, twisty turns. It doesn't have to be, the same story all the way through. Just link it. That sort of stuff. The idea of going to a planet with a Starchitect, finding a location, and then killing a bunch of people, and then finding out, oh my god, there's you pick up something and it's an audio file, there's another settlement a little way away, so you track that and you go after that that settlement, and then you do something there, and in the process of doing it you kill a pirate ship, and then you steal the cargo, and now you got to go sell that, and then there's something else and something else and something else, and you discover something while you're doing that that's completely unrelated, but now you've got something else to do. And I know that's the emergent gameplay holy grail, effectively. But if Star Citizen can't do that, then there's no hope for anything, really. Do you know what I mean? Dark Matter says, audio logs are seriously needed. Not everyone likes to read walls of pointless text that has very little information in it. No, exactly that. And I think that's the important thing, is that the missions, the contracts that we have in the Mobiglass, there's a lot of, exactly as you say, Dark Matter, pointless text. They're trying to add flavour, but we all know gamers don't read. So it's useless, because you're picking through and it's not really obvious where you're after or what you're after, or sometimes it takes you a good 20 seconds to find even the location it wants to before you accept it, because of course you can't just accept it now and abandon it because you damage your rep. So yeah, you also have to highlight mission required information if the mission text is going to be random narrative. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you put it into an audio file that I can listen to whilst I'm running around and doing other stuff, and I'm in my inventory and I'm loading my stuff out, and I'm getting the ammo that replaced that I've used in the last few missions, and I'm still able to listen to what's going on and decide, that's much better, because that makes for a more interesting audio recording, right? And a much more engaging way of giving the mission. If you're putting it on text, for the longest time in World of Warcraft, I got the mick taken out of me because I used to have the scrolling quest text, because I used to read it all. When I first started, the first 40, 50 levels, I used to read every single quest, what was going on. I didn't just look at what it needed and hit accept. Right? And if I'm going, okay, it's too much, for most people it's going to be, right? Edison says, it would be nice if it's not just combat, if we have choices when we get to combat, and not just be forced into fighters every time. And, being able to complete missions, finding ways of doing something, focusing on what you're trying to achieve, not how you're doing it, right? So, for example, Supply or Die is kind of, I guess, a better example of that now. Is that we need ice. Don't care how you do it. Don't care if you steal it off someone else, if you go and get it yourself, or if you go and buy it from some other location. All I'm telling you is we need ice. And it's the same thing with missions. Whereas it seems to be like, you play something again like World of Warcraft, and it's, we need to thin their numbers, we need to distract them away, kill 12. It's like, well, what? But I could go set fire to that hut over there, and that would distract them, and we'll be able to sneak through. No, kill 12. Great. So I'll just do what you want. And I know that's the sort of story that game's built on, but it would be much better if we could do that. You know, especially with things like criminality and that sort of stuff. Is criminals don't just have to be black and white. They don't just have to be good and bad. You can have, we've all seen this, Firefly and Serenity, that series. Criminals who are not bad people, right? Criminals who you're rooting for far more than the Empire and everything else, right? You know, the I forget what they call them. They're not rebellions. They're not rebels, are they? Browncoats, whatever they were. Those sorts of people, you know, where you know that lawman, they get to one where they steal some packages from a train, and they suddenly realise that the packages that they've stolen were medicine, and this was like a mining colony, and they caught this thing, and they were all dying, and they kind of have a crisis of conscience and go, no, we're going to deliver it. So they go to deliver it, leave it at a location just outside, fly away, and then they're going to message the town and say, hey, here's your supplies. As they do that, the sheriff turns up, right? Catches them all dead to rights with his posse. And they're like, we're really sorry, we want to give this back. And the sheriff kind of says to them, he says, times are hard. Like, it appears to me that sometimes you can take a job, not look too closely at what that job is, you just look at what it pays. And he says, it took you something to come back here and hand that back. And then he's like, load it on the wagons, we go. And he just leaves them, right? Recognizing that they've done the right thing. That's much better than criminals bad or advocacy bad. Kill them. You should have corrupt advocacy agents that good guys can go after, right? There should be a spectrum within criminal and legal gameplay where you have good guys who are, you know, bad guys that are protected by the law. What they're doing is legal, but it doesn't make it right. Right? You want like the big farmer elements and all that sort of stuff. So you hate them, but you can't do anything about it. And same on the criminal side, right? There should be kind of informants and moles and all sorts of stuff. Because just black and white is boring as hell. Anyway, that's my speech. But yeah, we need a strong co-op system, but without any reward system, people will skip it. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I mean by having, you know, not just one reward at the end is that at the moment people play through all the way to the end and get a big reward for having completed everything. Whereas actually what it should be is like, you know, you hand it off to other people and, you know, maybe you get a bit of a positive for making sure that you've handed it over. You get a bit of a negative for just abandoning it, maybe. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do there, but it doesn't have to be, you know, rewarding people for pieces of their gameplay rather than just, hey, do all this stuff and then get your shiny at the end. Because as we're finding with the ground alignment stations, and the orbital lasers, is that 95% of the work nets you nothing. It's that last 5% when you're mining down in the cave. So you can do 95% of the work, and then someone comes along and just nukes you. And then in this day and age of must do everything quick, must do everything repeatable, why would you muck around if you could just fly from site to site to site, intercept people during their final stages, nick everything for no difference whatsoever? Because taking that to, you know, reducing that down to its basics, everyone does that, no one does the actual mission. It never happens. So yeah. Gamers don't want narrative if it harms gameplay. No, it should all be the same thing. Narrative and gameplay. Narrative should be the connecting fabric of gameplay. Why am I doing this? Well, it makes sense. Once players have a loop system that functions for itself, it works like Death Stranding as a perfect logistics system. Well, this is the interesting thing for miners, right? Miners have this right now. So miners get ganked because of that loop you're talking about, right? Because I hand my orders over to be refined. I fly back to the planet at full speed or wherever they're doing their mining. I fly down to the planet using quantum system because it's quicker and I must do everything really, really quick. And as a pirate, thanks, you're basically telling me where you are. So if I quantum from one location to another around the planet and then ping, I'm going to find miners. And that's why miners are getting ganked. When I used to do mining, I used to go to orbit over the planet and then just pick a spot. that wasn't near orbital markers and fly down to it manually. Did it take longer? Yes. Was it the min-maxing gameplay style? Absolutely not. Never once been ganked mining. So, you know, it's that rewarding people for what they're doing, and finding a way of making their gameplay rewarding rather than making the reward the reason to play the game. It's a very subtle shift. But, you know, the most successful games out there do it that second way. Is I will reward you for playing the game the way you're playing it, not you'll play the game to get the reward. And Helldivers and stuff Helldivers 2 is a superb example of this. Yeah, you get the extra weapons, the stratagems and stuff to call in, but people aren't getting to the end of the stratagems where they have nothing less to claim and stopping playing. The stratagems are just a different way to play what they're already really enjoying. And, you know, you look at how successful Helldivers has been, even to this day with concurrent players, for a 30 quid game is just bonkers. It's an incredibly successful model for games. We're going to create something that's just fun in and of itself, that doesn't need anything else. And then what we're going to do is every so often, we're going to give you samples, and we're going to give you credits, and we're going to give you everything else. And you get a new way to blow stuff up. But you're still blowing stuff up, right? Honestly, an ongoing war, loads of factions to help out, even just events that are, you know, please give cargo to this forward base, defend the cargo ships as an ambush, etc. Exactly that. And, you know, the whole, oh, I've ended up with this random cargo because XYZ. I've come across a derelict and everyone on it's dead, right? It was search and rescue, we didn't get there in time. So now we've got this cargo. Oh, they must have been taking it. Well, if we take it there, it's going to be a huge amount of reward for us because prices for that stuff have gone through the roof. So yeah, sling it in the back of our ship, let's take it there, let's get the money and then fly off. And then you go there and there's something that draws you into that conflict, and right, we're going to get involved, you know. One of the people that we've rescued was asking us for help and they killed him, so we're going to now go hunt them down. And you see what I mean? It pulls you in. Rusty Pigeon, hello buddy, good to see you. So yeah, Rogue Trader does an excellent job of this. Yeah, absolutely. Playing the Oblivion remaster, said Teapot. Oh, how are you finding it? Enjoying it? The whole going to place A, getting sidetracked into place B through Z is a good blast from the past. Would be great to have in SC. I've said it before and I will say it again. Some of the most fun game sessions I've had is where things haven't gone to plan. Especially in Star Citizen, going to Ghost Hollow to do the credits mission, and then getting attacked by a Redeemer, and then killing the Redeemer pilots and all that sort of stuff. You know, and then getting some loot from that, and then going to sell it, and then this thing happens, and then that thing happens, and then someone ends up in prison. So instead of just earning their way out, we go and bust them out because we can. That sort of stuff just becomes crazy. And of course you don't have to bust them out, they can just earn their way out. But at that point in time, because you have the choice, it becomes a lot more fun, you know. And if someone, oh no, I don't want to fly down there and get people out and, you know, that sort of stuff, fine, let them earn their way out, go pick them up from wherever they end up. So yeah, so she says, I was listening to a streamer about how that is what his org was doing, jumping those who did the whole event at the cave. Sounds scummy. Yeah, and this is the important thing, right? Is there needs to be an element of ganking, right? Maybe ganking is not the right word, but there needs to be that element of risk, of players and all the sneakiness that we bring to a game. We need to be able to know that exists in the game, and to have that risk, even if it's very low level threat all the time. Is that okay? There's another ship coming. What's its intentions? That makes gaming exciting, right? But at the same time, it shouldn't be so far that way that you go, everything that I've spent the last 2.5 hours from is pointless because someone bush-wookied it up until the last 20 seconds. Shot me, I finished loading up, went to, you know, get in the Atlas to put the Atlas back in now that we've loaded the back up, and they shot me out of the Atlas, killed me, nicked my ship, nicked everything on board. What? Why is the game weighted right until the end to reward you? So I agree 100%. It just, if for example, you go to the ground alignment station and there's something in there. There's like a when you power it up, it opens up the barracks or it opens up the armory, and there's the weapon in there that you can only get at those locations. There's the armor set that you can only get at those locations. You put that on, that's now yours under these rules, right? People can't take it off of you. Ta-da. So no matter what happens after that, I've got the armor I can only get by getting to that location, which is really important. Like we went to one of the outposts to get the red key cards on Friday nights, 9 p.m. sometimes, although not at the moment, but keep an eye on the Discord. Link to Discord's in the description. 9 p.m. we did something called Friday Night Ops. Get together and play something, or even just go and hang out and drink as much alcohol as we can get our hands on. You're more than welcome to join that if you'd like. But we did one of the red keycard things, and as we were coming out, people were just camping outside the airlock. So all that effort, bearing in mind one red keycard's printed every 30 minutes. They didn't have to do anything other than wait for everyone to come out and then just ambush them. So yeah, lots of silly. Expanse and Starfarer could get do the refinery job features. Yep, 100%. We need that in game to make going to an outpost and running long job queues. Yeah, 100%. There's so many little elements that when they draw it all together, the game's just going to expand out, not expand in one direction, not expand towards ship combat or FPS. It's just going to expand and get bigger across everything. When people keep killing miners, and there's a shortage of Quantanium because no one bothers because they're all getting ganked, miners are going to become more important and less of a target and more someone to protect, and so on and so forth. Hey Sebastian, good to see you, my friend. Now, I think the problem is that the in-game comm system is laughably bad even if it does work. There's no way for player-driven stories to emerge as the only option comes from the barrels of their guns. Yeah, exactly that. You've got the friendly dance, the toggle side to side is the only way of communicating with people. The Starfarer needs its scooping job too. There's no reason why it shouldn't get the ability to scoop clouds for fuel to refine, says TJack. Could be a whole gameplay loop like salvage, mining, or cargo. It's all three. Yeah, exactly that. Bushwookied it. Loads of bushwookies, mate. They just sit in bushes, or people hide behind doors waiting for you to run out, and just ambush you. 9 p.m. UK time, I assume, says saw talks of it in the Discord Friday afternoon, but no time was mentioned, so unsure. Yeah, so I removed the event just for a little bit because I think a couple of us are just kind of taking it easy and taking a break, and it tends to be the regulars. But if there's enough interest, we can absolutely do that again, and just get 9 p.m. UK time Friday night. Get some people on, go do some stuff, whether it's the mining lasers, whether it's remote asteroid bases, whether it's just running a fully crewed, mole or reclaimer or whatever. We can absolutely do that. It's good fun. Gaming is always more fun. Sloth says that would be some insanely crazy narrative mission, something I feel Eckhard Security could fill the role for doing. Yeah, it's no problem, man. There are loads of missions, and the one that I'm really gutted they've removed, because I want to go and play it, and I think I'm going to go and do a little bit of a spotlight video on it, is the PI Wanted in Crusaders Gravity Well. You go to Kovalex Hub Gundo, the station that's been damaged in an industrial accident and is now abandoned. Basically, there's loads of package pickup missions, but one of them is go there and you go and find out what's wrong, because the person that's been that they basically, the investigation said this person is responsible for the accident. His widow contacts you and is like, I don't think this is how it went down, I need you to go and find out. And what's really cool about it is you decide when to stop, you decide when to hand it in, so you can absolutely decide when you feel like you've got enough evidence. And because the evidence swings one way and the other, you can point it at Gundo, the Kovalex company. You can point it at this guy. You can point it at someone else who becomes apparent through the story. It's really interesting. It's a really nice start to the narrative. We're talking about missions, Retina. Welcome in, buddy. You mispronounced fully crude hammerhead. We can do that too. Star stuff, absolutely. But it's this. It's really cool because you decide when you've had enough. And the great thing is, it's all audio recordings, not just the person who tells you about the job. It starts off as a contract, so you pick it up. But she contacts you and tells you what's going on. And then as you go around, all the evidence that you pick up are audio recordings. Right? And it's there's no combat to it at all, unless you end up bumping into another player and having a PvP thing. But that's absolutely nothing to do with the mission. And for me, it's one of the most interesting missions I've ever played in this game. Because I was engrossed. Because the audio recordings weren't just, and I went and fixed the machine, at least I thought it was. It's not that. There's a party going on, and you hear all that going on, and all these people that you don't know who they are chatting with each other over these recordings. It's very, very cool. If you ever get the chance to play it when they bring it back, PI Wanted in the Crusader Gravity Well is just so much fun. It's very, very cool. But I talked about the idea of one of these mission chains. God, ages ago now, years ago. But this is how it played in my head, right? Is you get a distress alert to go to an outpost. And you get to the outpost, and it says you need to check on the occupants. It's this location. There should be eight settlers, 8 colonists, blah, 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 blah. Great. You get there, and there are 7 dead. Right? And it appears like it's been a Vandal attack. Right? So you get there, and then it's the option. It's like, okay, you can't find them. What do you want to do? Are you going to just hand it in? Are you going to claim salvage rights and hand it in? Are you going to try and find the 8th person, expand your search a bit? Like, how are you dealing with this? So you decide, for example, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find this 8th person. And you find them. They're hiding in something, like in a cupboard somewhere, right? And they're like, oh my God, this, Vandal attacked and this sort of stuff, and they were all killed, and I hid, and they didn't find me, and oh my God, I can still hear the screams, all that sort of nonsense, right? And then again, what do? Do you call in, and this is the options you get? Do you call in and report them missing? Do you kill him and report that all 8's dead and continue with your salvage claim? Do you say that he did it and hand it in? Do you send out a distress beacon for UE Navy support because of the Vandal? Like, what do you want to do with it? So you one of the options is you kind of interrogate him. So you intimidate him, maybe you smack him around a bit to find out what's happening. And he says to you, actually, I was a plant here as a pirate. And we were supposed to raid it, and I was supposed to get in with the colonists and then signal them. But when I signaled them, a Vandal raid came in and they abandoned us. And if you'll help me, we'll go back to the hideout and we'll end them all, because I got really in with this. I'd fallen in love with one of the colonists and I didn't want it to happen, but we argued, so I triggered the beacon. They said they weren't going to hurt anyone, but I watched them. They saw the Vandal coming and they just ran away. They left us all to die, so let's go get them. So you go get them. And at the end of this chain, you get the rewards, you get the kudos, you get the rep and everything else. At the end of the chain, without knowing it, because it doesn't tell you, that dude offers to join your crew as an NPC. And what would be really cool with that is that, they have these, they say these voice lines as they're walking around the ship. I'll never forget what you did for me, that sort of stuff, right? Maybe this female, or, this person, this other colonist, maybe on his bunk he's got a picture of her. Him, them, whoever, right? That sort of stuff would have me playing this game much more than figuring out that there's a way I can make 750,000 UEC an hour for as long as I wanted to play. Don't care, just numbers. That experience, great, because I made these choices that resulted in, right? And it gave me a way to play. Because I don't know about you guys, I play loads of games and I'm given a solution and I'm sat there going, why don't you just do this? Like, where's my option to do this? Because this would be so much easier, or so much more sensible, or so much cooler. And they're never going to make every option that satisfies everyone, but at least giving you something you want to achieve and then going, hey, this is the situation you found. How do you want to deal with it? When you think about the modular system and the fact that they're just adding ways for you to play, I don't think it's too far out that they could implement some sort of system like that, right? Does that make sense? I've noticed no one said anything for ages, so either I've sent you all to sleep, or you're all just sat there going, "What is he talking about?" I don't know. I don't know I don't know which way we've gone with it. There's no feedback, so I don't know. So yeah, we'll find out. Sorry, I found a sheep. Matthew, worrying, my friend. But yeah, but anything like that. Thanks, thanks, Cam. Says it socially. No one talk, just stare. Do you know what? I'm so used to it, but by that sort of stuff. But yeah, because this for me is going to be the make or break of Star Citizen, is how engrossing it is to go and play, and how much it pulls me in. Not because it's it's got set mission types and then it puts some text in and expects it to be different, a la World of Warcraft's mission system, right? Which is, hi, you've got, farm this, kill these, harvest this, carry this from A to B, craft these and bring them to me, and that's about it. Okay, there are a few more than that, but you get my point, right? Some sort of system where it goes, okay, you've got to aid the war effort. How are you going to do it? That's going to be a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. I got a moth and I got a daddy long legs now. Ugh, I should have closed the window before I started streaming. But it's warm today. Did I mention it was warm today? It's warm today. Get 20 Copian horns to X facility. Yeah, that. Exactly that. Yeah, that's not great game design as far as I'm concerned, right? That's just, don't get me wrong, they need to be in there, but that can't be it. That's got to be the side mission. That's got to be the, I've only got 20 minutes to play, I'll just pick up a mission or two, do those, and then that'll be me done for the evening. That's fine. But there needs to be a little bit more than that. Are you listening? Are you listening, CIG? Are you listening? But yeah, we'll see. Now, here's a question that's going to be interesting for all of you. Thinking about future content, one of the things that I'm toying with the idea of is every so often is doing something that's a little bit more podcasty, in terms of having a conversation with a couple of people, right? And a couple of things have happened recently that made me think this might be a good idea. One of them is I was invited onto Space Tomato's stream just after the financials were released. So he wanted to talk to me about the financials and that sort of stuff, because all the research I put into that video and the background I've got with a couple of people kind of helping me out with financial stuff. Another one was our very own Star Stuff. Talking with him on his stream. By the way, I shall go and find the link to that in just a second, because you absolutely need to go and check him out. He's a lot of fun, and has... Oh, that was a World of Tanks with a very squeaky uwu sort of passion, and that was kind of weird. But yes. So yeah, had a great chat, and I think one of the very first things that we want to do is Star Stuff and I want to talk about Squadron 42. Is it up to the standards of modern games, and what does it need to do to pave the way for Star Citizen, and support Star Citizen? So, first off, go check out the Intergalactic Tea Room. It's Major Star Stuff chat, Twitch. Loads of fun. Very, very chill, really easy going. Love it. Had a lot of fun hanging out over there the last few days. But podcast would be an interesting stream idea. Great way to get more ideas tossed around. Exactly that. Um, I'm always worried that I don't have the most for radio voice. So the more that we could do, kind of like intersperse my voice with more fun ones, that would be great. Jock Cup, love to have you, my friend. Yeah, it would be great because it doesn't just have to be other streamers. It could be any of us, and we could just have like a chat and things, and ask questions, and maybe we do kind of an answer the call style, but answer the community. So you guys come on and we discuss something, and we kind of talk about stuff. As long as as long as you promise not to say too many rude things on stream to get me in trouble with, YouTube and everyone else, that'd be wonderful. I'd really, it would be great because then I get to talk to some of you as well, right? And we get to have those kind of back and forth discussions, which aren't possible so much during messaging because absent tone and everything else. It's not as easy. But yeah, go check out Star Stuff's thing, and then if people want to see that sort of content where we kind of maybe involve a few more people and see a little bit of like that, keep this as well. But every so often, do maybe once a month, get people in and we talk about a big topic, and then we can do votes on what you want the subject to be, and all that sort of good stuff. I think that might be quite a nice way of doing some content in the future. But I'm more than happy to, kind of bow to your thoughts on it. You guys are, after all, why I'm doing this. So you're very welcome, Star Stuff. No, absolutely. Answer the point. Yeah, absolutely. We could call it, well, I mean, what would you... I'd love to try doing voice acting. We need some lines for an extra in a skit, said Chavez. Funny you should mention that. I discussed an idea with Shadow Girl, who's unfortunately she's had a bit of a rough day, so she's not in the stream this evening. But I had a bit of a conversation with Last Call Teapot. Nailed it, absolutely nailed it. Teapot, well played, my friend. Well played. Last Call. Yeah, absolutely. And to the point like that as well. But yeah, Last Call is just, yeah, time at the bar, last call, something like that. I like it. I like it a lot. We could absolutely play something like that. On that note, I think I need to put up something for, what you call it, for the next Fleet Builder as well. So, well reminded. I'll put that up during the week. So keep an eye on the Discord, keep an eye on the community channel, and I'll invite something for a new topic. But yeah, I think one of the things that I wanted to do was try and run alongside the story that CIG are putting up in the verse and try and create it a little bit more engaging for gamers, because just putting it up on the website and putting it on the loading screen is clearly not cutting it for anyone. So maybe we could do something fun to run alongside that. Whether it's some sort of in-game documentary-esque, whether it's a news channel, whether it's, some kind of mission log from a Perseus, whatever it is, we could have a lot of fun with that, I think, and see where we go. But yeah, if people are up for that sort of stuff, then absolutely, I'll put something out once I've had a chance to think about it. And if you've got any ideas, for the love of God, make sure in the Discord, message me, whack it in SC chat, whatever it is. Maybe I could do with a feedback channel, right? Feedback and ideas? I don't know. We'll see. Oh. That's quite funny. So, yeah, I added a couple of things to that. I've obviously got a couple of things on the playlist that shouldn't be there. So that, I don't know if you heard that. I think that was really quiet. But that was a recording that I did for some training that's going on. So, yeah. Oops. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm anywhere interesting at the moment for Star Citizen to kind of do anything massively fun. I don't think. I suppose we could kind of load it up and see what happens with the camera and everything else if people want to give that a go for the last kind of 40 minutes. Just because I feel like pushing my luck, because we've done so well with the camera up until now. I've said it, it's going to do it again. Probably more because I'm loading the game up than anything else. But if needs be, I can just ditch the camera entirely. We can just play with it over the top. Similarly, I'm looking at kind of branching out into some other games. Not maybe necessarily so much on YouTube, because obviously the algorithm gets angry with you if you're too non-specific. But maybe we'll have a look at that on another platform, and we'll see where we go. I have been kind of side-eyeing Twitch for a little bit. My only concern with Twitch and this at the moment is that, you know, as we've discovered previously, trying to stream all this and, you know, without a streaming PC, just doing it all through the one PC, is a little bit of a challenge at the best of times. But we'll see. Twitch is very noisy. Twitch is... I'm not sure Twitch is my sort of streaming platform. Just because it seems to be a different sort of audience. And that's not always the case. I know that, you know, some of us, a lot of us will be watching Twitch as well. But, you know, it's all the poggers and the PogChamp and all the... Nah. I just feel like maybe I'm a little bit too old. Do you know what I mean? Younger demographic, socially. Exactly that. It feels like I'm maybe a little bit up too old for that sort of stuff. But we'll see. Let's jump across and see. Let's see how well this works. And then if the, you know, if everything doesn't play, then we'll turn my camera off and we'll go from there. There we go. I got the audio on. I might need to knock that down a level or two. There we go. Younger is a polite way to put it. That exactly that. Artemis TGM, hello, buddy. Any Anvil Asgard news, and are you upgraded to anything at Invictus? Good question. So the upgrade is likely a no this time round, and that is only dependent on what the Asgard is like, right? That's gonna be the big challenge for me. Is what is it? What's its role? What's it do? All that sort of good stuff. Oh, now that I've set up slightly, we'll just move the camera. There we go. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, there you go. Camera's just died. Oh, and that's really unfortunate as well. Good. So I think it's a GPU load issue. We'll give it another chance just for a little while, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, we'll see. As for the Anvil Asgard, the only thing we know about it is that voice channel thing that we heard. Right, I'm going to kill that sort of stuff. 2 seconds. Let's go. Where are we? Okay, so we're going to hide those now. We're going to fade to that. There we go. So we'll just keep playing, and I'll keep talking, and life will be good. Yeah, so it's still very much a guess at the minute, Retina, as to what the Asgard actually is. The key thing, I think, is, you know, they said it's going to take the fleet's heavy hitters into battle. The question is what does it mean? Does it mean ground vehicles, or does it mean other ships? Because that obviously massively changes what it is. The cynic in me says that it's going to be some sort of landing ship. You know, we're all high on hopium, he says. Yeah, exactly that. You know, but the description does not rule it out. Which I suppose is the best that we can say right now, right? Is that, you know, the description doesn't rule out what it could be. So, we'll see. We shall see. Ships, vehicles, or Titan dropships, of course it could be. Titan dropships as well. A Titan suit drop ship. Yeah, 100%. I think the cynic is normally right. Upsettingly, Retina, you are entirely correct. So that's kind of my take on it as well. But we'll see. Just while we're coming in, let's see if we got anything interesting in the contract manager. That's Wickelow's stuff. Not going to do that just yet. It just involves killing Copian. And I'm pretty sure we can all do that. Could do that, but let's have a look. I just don't think at the moment we're trying to clear the big ship backlog, they'll put something as big as an LHD type in. No, I mean, it could be full-blown carrier, but your point still stands, John Crop, right? Is that, you know, if they're not going to do that. Yeah, I think what's been interesting is a lot of the big stuff has been held off on because of, you know, the issues they had with not being able to get server meshing in, with server FPS, with spawn times, with the fact that they were just massively overloading one server with all of that. The question now is, okay, well, you know, will we ever see them release anything like the Idris again that has that player crew count? Vastly off topic, massive aside, Oblivion Remastered is amazing. Yeah, it's kind of, it's a reskin, isn't it? So it's the same game underneath. It's just been put through, is it the Unity engine? The Unreal Engine, I can't remember. Excuse me. Ugh. It's literally just been put through the normal kind of, or the new engine, but everything else underneath remains the same. It's still got the same weird loot issue and everything else. But yeah, yeah. So visually, it's different. Everything else underneath, I think, is still is basically just a port straight in. There are some small and welcome improvements, but it's by and large the same game with UE5 under the hood. Yeah, and that's the bit, is that it's a 45 quid reskin here in the UK. I don't know what it is elsewhere, but it's a lot. It's so good. There are some points that people are whining about, but yeah, damn good game, like the original, with some tweaks and far better graphics. It's been fun watching streamers play it. Personally, never got into the Elder Scrolls games. Been great fun to see. Yeah, I think I played Oblivion for a bit. I played Skyrim for a bit. I never massively got into them. And I know people are just going to disconnect when I say that out loud and be like, how very dare you. I want to wait for the Steam sales, socially. Yeah, 100%. You know, it's not going anywhere, right? So yeah, we'll see. I kind of want to put one of these on my back. And then everything else can go back in there. Going to go up to the station quickly, pick up some ammo. I should have done it here, but I'm not going to go all the way back for it. Let's grab those. Oh, I wonder. Maybe I can just go and get my Blackguard. Get Game Pass for a month. Well, this is true. But yeah, I mean, the problem there is if I enjoy it that much, I'm gonna have a problem putting it down again. So can't blame you for waiting. But I saw it, read Oblivion, and went yoink. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a BM Ghost released by Todd and Co. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? It's kind of the other side of the spectrum to Star Citizen massively. It's like the announcement and release at precisely the same time. And the only reason we had any idea it was coming was because some idiot put release files in an unsecure part of a website, you know, on WordPress or something. So that was silly. But yeah, considering the volunteer work, they're very much aware of going on with Sky Oblivion. Yeah. Yeah. It crashes more than SC for me, says Teapot. Oh, that's not good. that's rough. Yeah, I mean, I bought into, as you guys know, I bought into what's it called? Constellation. That one. whatever the space one's called. Christ, I can't even remember now. Um, but yeah. What's the space one called again? Oh my god. Starfield. There we go. Starfield. I remember. Hey, AV, welcome. To me, versus Sky Oblivion, it's like, what part irritated you? Sky Oblivion will probably fix more issues that look older than the remaster. Looks great, but runs poorly and still keeps the bugs. Yeah, that. It'll be interesting to see which way they, which way the mod work falls. But we'll see, I guess. That's good, they deserve it. Been doing amazing work for more than just Oblivion volunteer work. Yeah. I mean, I guess I can't... I enjoyed Starfield, don't get me wrong, but once again with another game, I didn't step into the thing. So I've not gone any further on. It seemed like a really good idea, but they didn't really kind of, it wasn't executed well. Apparently, like, the differences between lives and stuff when you go through and start in another life and another life and another life, it didn't, from what I've read, it doesn't make masses of difference. So, you know, I was quite happy with where I was and what I was in my playthrough. The loading screens were awful. I'm not gonna lie, the loading screens were really bad. God damn. God damn. Meh is a great review of Starfield. Soshi, you're not wrong. Building ships was a blast. It was. We did a little bit of trying to build a Perseus style ship, and then I didn't go back to streaming it again. So Starfield, I like the shipbuilder, says AV. The rest was just kind of meh. Wasn't bad, but just really didn't catch me. Yeah, I mean, I played it pretty solidly. I think Starfield, like so many other games, just felt like a missed opportunity in something that was rushed far too early. It just rushed out because it had to be. Like all of the, if you found some sort of laboratory or something on a planet, if it was named something, if it was like a biolab, for example, they all looked the same. Every biolab was the same layout. And it was just like, come on, you could have made different layout stuffs and all that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of kind of stuff in that game that would just, it felt a bit like they were cheaping out. So she says, maybe I'll give it a try again in a year or two, and get a few years away, and maybe I'll love it. Yeah, it's annoying at times because, you know, through their own fault, games don't get the reception that you want the game to have. And then what comes out of that is, you know, they then abandon the project. And Cyberpunk is such a good, is such a disappointing example of it. So Cyberpunk, a couple of years after release, once they'd fixed everything they should have fixed in the initial release, is such a good game. To think that they're never going to add to that again, I'm not going to lie, it kind of hurts my heart, if I'm honest. It's such a good experience. But, you know, through CD Projekt Red's own short-sightedness, they rushed it out, because every time they had a delay, they were trying to make it what the investors wanted to hear, which is, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll get it out, definitely. Which led to a very bogey project, which understandably pissed all of the gamers off, which meant that a load of people didn't buy into it, which meant that it didn't perform as well as they wanted. And what we ended up with was at the end of it, a game that works really, really well and is just such a good story, and you can see how they can just make the city more rich. They can keep adding to it, they can add more fixes, they can do more missions, they can add more storylines, they can do so much stuff. And they won't, because they botched the launch. So everyone that loves the game now is just going to have to deal with it. It needs more expansions. It made a lot since the fixes. Yeah, the cyberpunk stuff is great. I would love a connection to Skyrim, fly to the planet, land, and then play a good game. Very, very possibly. Avi says, find it rather telling as how well the indie stuff seems to be made, to be able to understand what people actually want better than larger studios. Yeah, and this is why I hold one of the many reasons I hold out so much hope for Star Citizen, is that it doesn't have the investors, clamoring every second for their money back, because it's not that sort of a game. It's not been built that way. Power to beat Pokemon and Schedule 1 has been stupid fun, as basic as it is. Yeah. Give real modding tools. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think, what they discovered with Starfield is that the engine couldn't manage it. That's why there are so many loading screens, because they couldn't manage to do stuff. And I think when they looked at modding it, they found that it was a core limitation with the game engine, is they just couldn't mod it the way they wanted to, because the engine couldn't handle the spaces that it would have needed to have handled and all that sort of stuff. So that in and of itself is a reason to be optimistic about Star Citizen, because let's see what big game studios can do when they are not held, almost kind of financial hostage to investors who, let's face it, couldn't give less of a crap about games and gamers if they tried. And there might be a few kind of notable exceptions to that, but that's exactly what they are, is they're notable exceptions. They are not the rule. They are absolutely not, representative of, well, anything, really. They are just, what they are in terms of, I want my money. I want my money now. And unfortunately, the way the gaming industry do business at the moment is, if you don't do that, you lose. People won't invest in you anymore, and having a really successful franchise doesn't indemnify you in the future, as we found out. One of the most successful game franchises of the last 10, 20 years, the Witcher series. Still not enough, apparently, because people were still whinging. They still wanted their money out, regardless of anything that they said. So yeah, and that's my rant. So there. But genuinely speaking, guys, that's why I am so hopeful that Star Citizen will do well. That's why I'm so hopeful that it will buck the trend in terms of, the current style of pricing and everything else, and the model for investors demanding their money and, not giving a crap about the experience that the rest of us having a game. That's why I'm so keen on that front. And I'm sure you guys are too, right? But yeah. So, in the time that we have left, which is what, 20 minutes, we have two choices. Okay, we can go and just do a bunker and get some gameplay in, or I can try and bring up the pulse, and maybe we can go and do one of the landing zone missions. Sorry, one of the go to one of the alignment stations and see what's there. What do you think? 1 for a basic bunker. In chat, give me 1 for a basic bunker, 2 for a ground alignment station. Without investors breathing down their necks, gives them a lot of room to get in what they want. Yeah, exactly that. So Star Stuff has gone for the ground alignment. Judomo's gone for that. Teapot's gone for whatever Teapot's gone for, but I don't know that. 3, find bacon and eggs. Well, at least you're not asking me to find lamb, mate. A. So ground alignment station it is. So I'm just gonna. I might call up something else. I might call up the Terrapin Medic. So I've got, because yeah, my ship's already disappeared. In fact, no, the Terrapin Medic's down on the planet. So let's core it up here. Retrieve. And whilst that's happening, let's just grab out the stuff that I bought. Oh, a few supplies here. Let's pop that on there like that. So I've got one of the scorched SMGs. I'll have a look at it in a sec. A couple of nades, just cars. Then what else we got? Ammo. There's lots of Kana stuff. Let's pop those in there. Let's pop those in there. Yeah, the whole idea of having sun in the UK is a bit of a shock, mate, isn't it? But yeah, P6LR. So right, let's put some custodian mags on. I love how angry people get when I do that. There you go. So that's the scorched one. It's been a very rare bug where the hold doesn't close and the ores respawn indefinitely. Will be interesting if you find one. I mean, only one way to find out, right? Yeah, that'll be cool. Let's go and find out. Okay. That. Let's get on our way down there. And then, it's Daymar, isn't it, for the ground alignment stations here. So here's hoping it's in daylight, but if not, then it's not. You. Okay, so Daymar. So what we're looking at is this bit here. So we'll go to Atreus. Nope. We'll go to one of the Atreus paths. They're my hanger queues, yeah, hurry up and wait. Exactly that. Me, or is the downward thrusters not on? That bug. The downward VTOL thrusters aren't on. Rude. No idea how I'm hanging here then. Okie dokie. So, Damar. Let's do it. That's the bit that's always weird, is why does it want to try and take me to the planet now? Excuse me, I said here. That's better. Good lord.
Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete. Quantum travel engaged.
Oh. It's just on the sunny side, which is nice. Funny enough, how I like my eggs. Sunny side up. That was scrambled. I know that was a really weird thing to say, but you were talking about it in chat, so you guys absolutely invited that. So there. That was your fault, not mine. I'm really interested into what the frame rate is like with you guys, because it on my little stream monitor thing, it looks a bit dodgy. But is it okay with you guys, or okay, maybe I go down here. Oh, probably don't want to go in that fast, though, do I? Well, I think the last time I was here, I kind of came down this way um, with a hover bike to have a look at what was going on. Oh, don't want to do that. Hello. Yeah, this is exactly the same location as last time. But what we're going to do now... Yeah, they are a bit chunky, aren't they, these things? Right, let's get out of this. Quick as we can, so they know where I was, but not where I am, right? Hey, X-Ray. Good to see you, man. Oh, and that... What is that? Is that just... Huh. It's just a bug, something or other. Don't know what that is. Is that a bunch of hover bikes? Yeah, X-ray. So this is the ground alignment station. So this is the first part of the align or mine missile mission chain. So when you come here, and I have no idea what you do when you get in there. I'm hoping someone in chat can tell me. But yeah, unfortunately, there look to be a lot of wreckage down there. I'm hoping I don't get sniped before I, have a chance to do anything. Oh, I seem to be. I fell down. Oh well. That's fine. It is what it is. Boing. Let's get stuck in. And if I get shot, I get shot, right? But we'll get down there as quickly as we can. And see what's going on. Oh, I don't like those purple lines on the floor. Normally it means you just fall through the earth, right? Or fall through the planet. The moon. I was expecting to have a bit more to snipe from here. Maybe they've just not spawned in yet. Also, I don't have a silencer on this, so it's not going to be the most effective. Ooh. Well, they look a bit more serious, don't they? And intact. Oh, Prowler. Where's the shadow coming from? Oh, didn't mean to do that. Here we go. Better not be one of you lot stream sniping. Well, I was just dropping in to say hi off the day for another boring day getting work done. X-Ray, no worries, man. Glad you were able to pop in and say hi. You take it easy, buddy, and maybe I'll get to chat with you soon. Got to stop doing that. I keep banging my mouse against the side of my keyboard and it keeps banging the trigger. What's that? Ooh. Oh, we got some people down, so maybe there are some people in there running around and stuff. Oh, Guardian moved. What's that over there? Okay, so we got NPCs over there. Yeah, which is kind of important because we know that people are spawning in at that range, right? Or rendering, sorry, in at that range. So what about over here? Yeah. There's some people down, all right. Hello. Who are you? Okay. What do you think the range of hearing is on this thing? How far away can you hear one of these? I mean, it's loud, right? It's basically a... Yeah, sniper glint, right? Is that a thing right now? Am I about to get counter-sniped because of bloody sniper glint? Murder hobo? No, that was a bad guy. No murder hobo in here. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? Because I'm not going mad, right? That wasn't the location of the Guardian when we first came down here. That's been moved. Okay. Well, then maybe I don't want to muck around with the sniper. It's that thought as you're coming down here that all of a sudden there's like 3 or 4 bits of glint up there, and you're just like, oh, guess I'll die. Right, I got a silencer on, so hopefully that'll do a good job of making sure that I don't get too ganked coming in here, right? Oh, okay. File charges. Accept. Ugh. Well, I guess I'll get I guess I will get into cover whilst all that's going on up there. What we got? Ooh. No? In there? Okay. This is where we discover the rather horrific art of you know, bushwalking or corner camping. Ooh, okay. Right, so we've got fuse puzzles. Cool. That glass, or am I just being dumb and not? It's glass, right? Oh, that's a keycard. Okay. So why do I get the keycards from? Any help? Wait, is that a... That's a component, right? Interesting. So we've got a couple of things here that are potentially useful and whatnot. Hmm. Oh, that's a key card as well. Okay. Doo-doo. Little bit concerned. This guy's just out in the open. This is probably the dumbest thing I've done in a while. But I want his helmet, so there. Doo. Well, that's a bit frustrating because we actually picked up a red keycard, didn't we? A little while ago when we did the other stuff. So I could have brought a red keycard with me, but never mind. These things happen. Okey-dokey. Code word for distraction is red T. Understood. That wasn't me saying the code word, by the way. That was just me acknowledging the code word. We should do org events. Yeah, I mean, if people want to do stuff like this, then I'm all for it. I think the only thing that puts me off, like I say, is that if you know, is your ability to lose everything just because. But if people are happy with that, if that's a risk that people are willing to take doing this, then you know, I'm all for it. If that's what people want to do, count me in. You know. There's a few dead people kicking about. It's a little bit concerning. Doesn't seem to be much up here, does it? I guess back down? Question mark. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be much waiting for me here. That's steady. Elf ladder. Thank you. Cool. Now the question is, gotta love low gravity. I heard you. Rewinding. No power.
Try not to get shot in anything valuable.
I'll try not to, bud. Rude. Okay, what did he have on him? Anything useful? Pistol. That's enough. I do wish that they do a little bit more on like the loot tables and stuff, because this is just, you know, as all right as it is, it's not great, you know. They could do a whole lot more to it. Okay. So where's the power for that coming from? Is there somewhere I need to put the fuels? Hello? Ah. Insert fuse.
Power online.
Hey. Hey. Oh wait, is this a? Ooh. This is exciting. Sorry, I got a little bit more oversight than that than maybe I should have done, right? But still, it is. So there. There we go. So blue key card. So where have we seen a blue key card door up until now? Wasn't there one just outside? Oh, and it ate my fuse, you monster. You absolute monster. Oh, custodian. Why not? The garages, which was back where I was, right? No, no, negative, negative star stuff. Wave off, wave off. So is this just going to get me a random vehicle then, I guess? Ooh. Well, there's an atlas in here, and there's some loot stuff in here. We're gonna. Why is it going to be so loud, man? Plus it's suppressor 3. We can do one of those. I don't know if I want an FS9 though. That's a bit much. Int it. Yeah, there's components and all sorts of stuff. That's kind of cool. Boo. Don't want any of that. There's no way through up there. Danger close. You guys are rude. Got me some snaggle sticks. So I can hide in here now, right? I can just be like, no, you can't get me. But what's in your? Ooh. Anything good? Kind of. We'll take a max lift. We'll take some missiles. What was that? A stalwart mining gadget. Yeah, alright. Mars ready to eat chicken dinner. Everyone loves one of those. Okay, so these are this is kind of interesting. We got a couple of components kicking around. We got some bigger loot containers. Alright, fair enough. I mean, it's all still fairly basic loot, though. It just might not be stuff that I've seen for a while, but I mean, that's I'm not sniffing at it. I'm not, you know. It is what it is, right? You watch me get jumped by someone now. Let's see if that relay has respawned. Wherever I picked that up from. I can't remember. Oh, God. Here we go. Badger's playing well again. Yeah. Yoink. Mine. So this is another blue door. There's some stuff in there. So we know the next time we get a blue one. Because I take it that's going to take a while to respawn now, right? The blue keycard. I got one. Thanks, Matthew. It would be good for my C1 if someone wasn't out here just, you know, murder hobo in ships, right? I'm not gonna lie, boys. I'm kind of glad you can't see like how far forward I'm leaning and stuff whilst I'm doing this to try and figure out what the hell's going on. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Some things you just don't need to see. Do you know what I mean? Guns and stuff. Is this another like a jump puzzle thing? Yes? Yes, it is. You know, the Mirai Guardian. Yeah, just go and sit on it, wait for the dude to come back, and then take him out, right? Like a proper murder hobo. So now, potentially, we can go back over there and go into that other room? Question mark. All the random noises and stuff are a little bit. It's very atmospheric. I know you probably can't hear that much of it because I've knocked the volume down a bit, but it is quite an atmospheric little fight. Or a little location. Let's head back in and see what's. Hope stuff hasn't respawned. Right, well, first of all, what's in here? We got any big containers, or is it all piddly little small ones? Looks like piddly little small ones, right? So maybe we can go. Oh no, there's a big-ish one there. I kind of want to go in here though. Oh. How many times have I run past this? Don't answer that. Don't. Just don't. Just don't. What do we got in here? On a rifle. Yeah. I mean, I do like Arcana. They are pretty nifty and stuff. So let's grab those. The downside is they seem to have downsized the or ball max. Yoink. Scalpel sniper rifle mags, a tiger's claw. Oh! Wait, how did my... Oh, I don't know. Maybe I didn't get to keep the well, micro battle suit leggings. No, I'm good. I'm all good. Okay. So, in the interests of science, shall we go and have a look at the center area around the QI, do you reckon? See what's going on. Because I feel like that's what we're building up to, aren't we? This center area. Well, if the Ares is gone. No, I'm going to do this. Oh, has he destroyed it? I'm just busted. It is, isn't it? It's busted. Go find out what's occurring in here. Okay, so is that a fairly solid indication that no one's been in here in a while, do you think? Or is that just they went round that bit? What do you reckon? Famous last questions, yeah. Wait, I thought I had a red key card. Did I not have a red key card? I thought we picked one up. Path security key card. Oh man, unless it's just the thing that's bugged. Put it in your hand. There you go. It's the thing that's bugged. God's sake. Yeah, it is. And you know it. You found a harvestable item. Is that what that was? I don't even know what that... Would someone please just Tell me what that was. I don't know what's going on anymore. What was that I just picked up? I don't even know what I'm in here for anymore. The alignment blade. Alignment blade essential to the function of mining lasers. Terminals at platform alignment facilities require 3 of these blades to make the precise calculations. Okay, so I stole one? Question mark. Badges will explode in 60 years. Yeah, the big key. You need 3. So what do I do? Just farm this for 3 of them, or are there other ones kicking about? Do 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 do. 3 separate ones behind all the red doors. Okie dokie. Thanks, guys. Like, you know, you wouldn't know I'd fucking stream this game, would you? Venture Undersuit Pathfinder. Prestige Misc Racing Jacket. That sounds like something I might want to steal, right? Is that a steely thing, do we think? Nope, so that can't. Let's start arranging stuff, so maybe I've got a bit more space. If needs be, I can just drop some of this trash. Yoink. Yoink, yoink, yoink. There we go. Fine. Citadel Arms, Maroon, Overlord Legs, Supernova, Undersuit Pathfinder, Inquisitor Neon Pink. What's that? Antium Armor Helmet Sand. Is that the new helmet stuff? Antium, is that the new? Yeah, it is. Also, I just kind of suffocated a bit. But yeah, it is. Woohoo! Yeah, baby. More antium armor, please. Give antium armor, please. An amber suit, whatever one of those is. But taking it anyway. Cool. Well, I mean, that's kind of... That's a little... I mean, I don't want to say mission accomplished, but it's not a bad thing. Take one of those. I don't know why I'm picking up random tap, so don't ask. But I am. So there, what's that? Is that one of the new Volk? Ugh. Oh, you monster. Why? Yeah. It is. It's one of the new Volt guns, isn't it? The problem is, I kind of don't want to... I guess I get rid of the P6, right? Into my backpack, if it fits. Which it does. Because it's only a P6. Is that what it is? Ammo. Ugh. Whatever. It's fine. I got a new Volt gun now. We're all good. Nice. Okay. So happy with that. So now we need to go find another red keycard majigger. Who do we reckon the red keycard majiggers are? Oh, but that one needs a red keycard majigger. Battery storage. Oh, these are the big-ass batteries that get taken up to the planet, up to the station, right? We can find us some more Antium armor. True Def Procore. Cheddar. Antium armor arms. Do you know what? Don't mind if I do. Winning. Just winning, boys. That's what this is. This is pure, unadulterated, uncut win. We have to do this for a thingy, an org event, because holy moly. Right? There's a lot of stuff here. Great, fine, whatever. Don't need any of that. Okay. So I'm going to guess this red keycard's at more of the outbuildings, right? So maybe we take a run down to this one, see what's in it. Although I kind of don't want to run at the open mouth. Yeah, the big battery's on the deck, but clearly I'm not doing anything with that. Because I got nothing to take it out in. There's a blue keycard machine, which I shall hit up in just a moment. Just want to clear through. Maybe that'll be access to the other stuff. Red cards are normally behind blue doors. Thanks for the heads up, Sloth. That's let's go find some more blue doors then, shall we? Yoink. What about this dude? Yeah, nothing exciting. So we did see, kind of over here, right? We did see that there was a building with people in it. So maybe this is where we need to go. Start a fight over here. Oxygen and water. Yeah, you're not wrong. Few seconds. I do have something for this. Where are we? Oxypen. Here we go. Wait, what? Wait, what? Oh, for God's sake. This game sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I guess I'll just go myself then, huh? Okay. So that door ain't letting us through. And there were people here last time we... Buongiorno, can I interest you in some news about our Lord and Saviour Badgers Nadgers? Ow. Rude. Holy moly. Ouch, 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 ouch. Rude with grenades. Do you know what? Let's do this. That's fun. That wasn't. Who's the grenade uppy dude? Why does it look like they're firing through walls sometimes? Is that because they are? Oh, mate. Yeah, I might need to ask for your assistance shortly, just because, you know, oxygen. Oh. I'm grabbing a reload from my backpack. What do you think you've got?
Laying down covering fire.
Yeah, but are you? Are you really?
Advancing.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Moving up.
He's gonna be in some stupid spot, isn't he?
Come on now. Let's just talk this through.
He's in there somewhere, isn't he? Alright, fine, whatever. There's another blue keycard, which I guess will be useful if I grab another one, right? Also, holler if you see one of the red ones. Because you and I both know that I'm blind as a bat, so, you know, whatever. I'm also going to go back to this, because more of a chance of stopping round. Sorry, I don't know why I suddenly choked then. Clearly you're not going to be able to put a silencer on that, but that's fine. Bugged, right? I get it. Okay, so no red keycard door here. Next. I mean, I guess I could just run away with the blade and save the save it till later, maybe. Star Stuff, do you want to sling me an invite, my friend? And we'll that way when I go and run and find myself somewhere to hide, you know which way I've gone, and it doesn't become a complete cluster. I don't want to get you killed for coming in and rescuing me. Some hit markers might be nice, boys. This is going to be a power one, which is yet another blue keycard. I guess there are worse things to spend blue keycards on. Yeah, because I'm running out here pretty rapidly, so I'm probably going to have to. And then I can come back. Oh, there's a cutlass outside. Oh, good. Thanks, mate. Yoink. Okay, because we're down to 13%. So either I'll call you in for rescue, or I'll just call it and I'll quit out back to. Oh, hang on. Seeing what I saw up there. See if I can get across without pissing them off. There's a freight elevator, so it's not going to be on there, is it? Ooh, here we go. This looks about right, this place. This looks like somewhere else we've been. Oh, really? Ah! Oh, that was just disappointing. Just disappointing. Fine. So I'm not getting in that way.
We can work this out. Honest.
I don't believe you, sir. Not in the slightest. Okay, so that came from up there. So let's go and introduce ourselves, shall we?
Come back. We were having so much fun.
Oh, it's the dude on the roof. Fine, whatever. So if I get through there, I can crawl through. Okay, fine. I can do that. %. So basically, here's the rush. Here's the rush, guys. I'm going to go in. I'm going to get the red key card. I'm going to see if I can find any more Omni armor or whatever it is, and then I am going to try and get the key card, and then either extract, or if it's getting really bad, just go. But let's find out, shall we? God, so much stuff here. So much stuff. What's that? Parasite. Nope. Don't need any of that. Red key card. Imprint. Yes, please. Yes, please. 6%. Come on. Yes, please. Thank you, please. Okay, the question is now, how do I do this with the guys on the roof? Is there another red keycard machine in here? Only one way to find out. Am I pushing it too far if I do this as well? Is this pushing it? Is this risk? Sloth, I don't know if that's yes to the risk that I'm doing now, or whether that's yep to something I said earlier, but probably a little bit of both, right? Okay, fuck it. We're going to go for the Hathel Center now. And I think I'm probably going to get absolutely nailed in the open ground here. So let's see if I can go wide slightly. Hopefully they're still looking the way I was going and not the way I am. Oh, hey buddy. Yeah, could I? Because I'm about to snuff it. And then I'll drink on here as well. And then I'll, oh mate. Dude, you're an absolute lifesaver. Guys, how's this for Star Stuff's rescue, right? How good is that? Like, that's just incredible, man. Mate, thank you so much. Right, I'm just going to drink something very quickly. Let's do a Cruise Lux. You got water on this thing as well, haven't you? This is where it's like, no, you can't drink. Or yes, you can drink, but no, it's not going to restore anything. Oh, it is. Oh, it is. 1%. Yeah, absolute clutch. Absolute clutch. And I'm going to repay you here, Star Stuff, by just leaving crap all over your ship. I do apologise. Look at that. Nicely done, boys. Okay, right. This is it. I'm going to go back, my friend. I'm going to give it a go. Oh, I was going to give it a go. There we go. Oh. Restocking the oxygen. Opening the back doors. Which one's the ramp door? Okay, opening the ramp. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not opening the ramp. No, I'm not. I'm closing the ramp. I'm closing the ramp. that would have been a most ennoble end to our venture, I think. Falling out the back of the... that would have been just the best. I don't think I could have topped that, you know. Do we have storage on this thing? It's in here, right? No. No. No, no, it's not. Oh, it's down there. I remember. That's the wardrobe. That's the storage. Right. I'm just going to throw some stuff in here that I don't necessarily need to free up some space for that object. Cool. I knew he'd taken off, but I didn't realise we'd gone airborne. I didn't know whether he was just, like, going somewhere close. 2 seconds, mate. I'll be back in a moment. So it sounds like we're having a little bit of fun with ground combat. I'm going to get out, mate, and... Oh, no. Yep, just stay as you are. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. No, I'm not. Jump in. I'm clear, I'm clear, I'm clear. Whoa, no I'm not. Jesus, they're up top. Oh, this is not going well. Yeah, 3 on the roof, seen. Roof. So I guess I can only hope now that I've left combat. Enough. Yeah, that. So, yeah. That was fun, right? I mean, that to me still felt like a lot of fun. I'm gonna, you know, just kind of keep going here a little bit and kind of quit out. I'm just going to give it a chance. But yes, SC happens. Lots of fun doing that. I'm now well clear of the whole fight. Star Stuff, thank you ever so much for the rescue, my friend, and letting me jump out into that madness. But yeah, you know, a bit of a mission. We got the Omni stuff, which was exciting. I can't open my inventory at the minute, but we got one of the blades. I've got a red key card, so we can go back and get another one of the blades. A lot of fun, actually. That was not the experience that I expected. That was, you know, mate, it's all good. It's literally, it's like a helmet. It's a Void Ripper helmet and a Kana, I think, and a jacket. So you're all good, Starsuf. But thank you ever so much for coming to rescue me. Yeah, that was really good fun. I really kind of enjoyed that. Just because I'm in the game at the minute, I guess I'm going to try and quit out now, and hopefully it doesn't rob me of my loot. I'm going to try and restart my camera. And hopefully that sticks, and transition back to full face chat. Ta-da! So yeah, streamed for a lot longer than I'd intended to today. So thank you for sticking with me. That was a lot of fun. Sangroper, welcome in. Del, good to see you. Anyone else that I didn't see in all the middle of that and have a go. But do you know what? That has kind of encouraged me and motivated me enough. This Friday, 9 p.m, we'll get a group together. We'll go and have a go at that. So if you want to be in, link to the Discord's down below. If you're not already, 9 p.m. UK time, we'll get a link. We'll get a group together. We'll go do some Hathor stuff, and hopefully that'll be good fun. So yeah, you know, I'll put some plans up in the Discord. What we'll do, we'll go and do some fun. So we'll land a ship a fair way out. We'll take jet bikes in, so we're stealthy. We don't suffer this whole loss of the ship thing, and we'll go from there. But that was really good fun. Guys, thank you ever so much for being there, and check if you can accept my org application. Absolutely. And if anyone else wants to... Oh, the camera's just died. DWGP, unfortunately DGP's already been taken, but DWGP org invitation, I'll go and check them now. If you want in, come and join. It's chill. There's no training. It's just come and represent when you want to. Just a place for people to hang out, enjoy each other's company, as we always should in this game. Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you guys. I really wasn't expecting A, the gameplay to hold up quite that well, and B, I was not expecting that as a location. That feels like a real evolution of some of the stuff that they've been doing. The random scattering of loot boxes is annoying. I feel like they could do that better, but that'll happen when you can have like armor racks, and you know, the Vault gun being in the rack was very, very cool. I only hope that I get to keep it. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure playing with you all, and having you here on stream. I mucked it up. What I meant to do was that. You've been watching Drinkers of the Game Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Can't hear you if you're talking. Have you got me on mute again?